In the heart of bustling Chicago, I was deeply immersed in my work as a marketing manager, thriving on the challenges my career presented each day. At 42, I had built a successful life, balancing the demands of a high-pressure job with the complexities of personal relationships. However, beneath the surface of professional achievements, my marriage to Mark, a 45-year-old financial analyst, was quietly unraveling. That ordinary day at the office took a sudden turn when my phone buzzed with an unexpected call from Mark. Seeing his name light up the screen sent a ripple of unease through me, as calls during work hours were rare. Stepping out into the hallway, I answered, masking my anxiety with a casual tone. "Hey, Mark," I greeted. His voice, cold and detached, shattered any pretense of normalcy. "I'm divorcing you," he declared, each word a sharp dagger. "I've already sold the house," he added, the triumph in his tone unmistakable. It felt as if the ground had shifted beneath me, the life I knew slipping away with his callous words. Our home, a cozy refuge in the suburbs, was more than just a building. It was a testament to our shared journey, a symbol of the life we had built together. The realization that it had been sold without my knowledge or consent was a betrayal that cut deep, igniting a fire within me. I tightened my grip on the phone, refusing to let him hear the crack in my voice. "Sounds good," I replied evenly, determined not to give him the satisfaction of seeing me falter. But inside, a storm was brewing, one that would drive me to reclaim control over my life and fight for what was rightfully mine. Standing in the hallway, the phone pressed tightly against my ear. I listened as Mark dropped the bombshell that shattered my day and, ostensibly, my life. "I'm divorcing you," he repeated, as if sensing my disbelief. His voice carried a chilling detachment, each word meticulously designed to wound. "I've already sold the house," he continued, with a hint of smug satisfaction that turned my blood cold. The revelation hit me like a tidal wave, each word crashing over me, threatening to pull me under. Our homey, a charming two-bedroom nestled in a quiet neighborhood, had been more than just a place to live. It was a testament to the years Mark and I had spent together, the dreams we had woven into its walls. And now, with his callous declaration, that chapter of my life seemed to be ripped away, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. "Lisa and I need the money to start fresh," Mark added, his tone casual, as if we were discussing the weather. The mention of her name confirmed my darkest suspicions, suspicions that had grown from whispers into a roar in recent months. Late nights at work, unexplained absences, and a growing emotional distance had all pointed to a third party, but hearing her name sent an electric shock through my system. My heart pounded in my chest, a relentless drumbeat that echoed in the silence of the hallway. I fought to keep my voice steady, unwilling to let him hear the tremor of hurt and betrayal. "Sounds good," I managed to reply, each syllable a small victory in maintaining my composure. But beneath the calm facade, my mind was racing. I felt like a character in a high-stakes drama, the plot twist unfolding in real time. Mark thought he had won, that his betrayal would leave me scrambling and powerless. Yet, unbeknownst to him, I had a card up my sleeve, a crucial detail he had overlooked in his haste to sever ties. Our home, the one he claimed to have sold, was legally mine. Earlier in the year, during a refinancing process, I had transferred the deed to my name alone. Mark had signed the papers without a second glance, too preoccupied with the promise of a lower interest rate to question the terms. His oversight, his arrogance, would be his downfall. As I hung up the phone, a newfound resolve took root within me. This wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would reclaim control and emerge stronger. Mark had set the stage for a showdown, and I was ready to play my part. After hanging up the phone with Mark, I stood in the hallway, the gravity of our conversation settling over me like a heavy fog. His betrayal was now a stark reality, but rather than succumb to despair, I felt a burgeoning resolve to reclaim what was rightfully mine. My mind raced through the implications of his actions, but I knew I had a crucial advantage, one that Mark had overlooked in his haste to move on with Lisa. The apartment, our home, was legally mine. Several months back, during a routine refinancing process, I had taken the opportunity to transfer the deed to my name alone. Mark, eager for the lower interest rate that came with refinancing, had signed the papers without a second thought. He had been so confident, so sure of his control, that he hadn't bothered to read the fine print. His arrogance, I realized, would be his undoing. Determined to act swiftly, I contacted Alex, my attorney and a longtime friend. As I recounted the shocking conversation with Mark, Alex listened intently, his calm demeanor a balm to my frayed nerves. "He sold the house?" Alex echoed incredulously. "Does he even realize that he can't do that without your consent?" "Apparently not," I replied, a hint of satisfaction threading through my words. It was empowering to know that Mark's plot was already unraveling, that his attempt to pull the rug out from under me was built on a foundation of sand. "We'll need to act quickly," Alex advised, already in problem-solving mode. "First, I'll notify the buyer that the sale is invalid. Then we'll draft a formal letter to Mark, outlining the legal consequences of his actions. If he's foolish enough to persist, we'll be ready to take him to court." Hearing Alex articulate our plan of action infused me with a renewed sense of purpose. Mark thought he had outsmarted me, that he could discard me as easily as he had discarded our marriage. But he underestimated my resilience, my willingness to fight for what was mine. As the day wore on, I compartmentalized my emotions, channeling them into my work. The betrayal stung, but the thought of watching Mark's smug confidence crumble gave me strength. I was no longer the passive partner he believed me to be. I was ready to dismantle his lies, to reclaim my life, and to move forward on my own terms. In this unexpected twist of fate, I was determined to emerge stronger, wiser, and unbroken. Returning home that evening, I felt a mix of anticipation and resolve. The apartment was eerily quiet, yet it was no longer the sanctuary it once was. Mark's presence lingered like a ghost, his belongings scattered carelessly about, as if mocking the stability I once believed we had. The confrontation was inevitable, and as I moved through the familiar rooms, I mentally prepared for the showdown to come. That evening, as expected, Mark stormed in, his face flushed with anger, the letter from Alex clutched tightly in his hand. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, waving the letter as if it were a personal affront. "You're telling me I can't sell the apartment? It's half mine!" I stood my ground, my voice steady. "No, Mark, it's not. The deed has been in my name for months. You can't sell something you don't own." He froze, the confidence draining from his face, leaving behind a mask of confusion and rage. "What are you talking about?" I retrieved the deed from the drawer, holding it up for him to see. "After we refinanced, I had it transferred to my name. You signed off on it, remember? Or did you just skim the paperwork like you always do?" For a moment, he was silent, absorbing the full weight of his oversight. Then his expression twisted into a sneer, a last-ditch effort to regain control. "You think you're so smart, don't you? This doesn't change anything. I already made a deal, and you're going to look like a fool when it all falls apart." His bluster was empty, and we both knew it. I met his gaze unflinchingly. "The sale is already void, Mark. The buyer knows it, and they're ready to take legal action if you don't return the money." "Oh, and speaking of money." I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. "If you've spent a single cent of that deposit, you're in even bigger trouble." For the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. He started pacing, his frustration mounting. "This is ridiculous. You're blowing everything out of proportion. You can't just kick me out of here." I raised an eyebrow. "Actually, I can. This apartment is legally mine. You can stay here for now, but only because I'm giving you the courtesy of time to figure out your next move. But let me be clear, I'm not going anywhere." As he continued to protest, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. Mark had underestimated me, and now, faced with the consequences of his actions, he was scrambling. But it was too late for second chances. This was my life, my home, and I was reclaiming both with a newfound strength. In the days that followed the confrontation, a whirlwind of emotions swept through me. The apartment felt like a battleground, each room a reminder of the life Mark and I had shared, and the betrayal that had shattered it. But amidst the chaos, I found solace in the support of my best friend, Sarah. Her presence was a balm to my frayed nerves, her unwavering loyalty a beacon of strength. "How's he taking all this?" Sarah asked one evening as she helped me pack Mark's belongings into boxes. Her tone was light, almost teasing, but there was an undercurrent of genuine concern in her eyes. "Not well," I replied, a wry smile tugging at my lips. "He's still convinced he can talk his way out of it, but I'm not budging." "Good," she said, tossing one of his old ties into a box with a flourish. "He doesn't deserve a single inch of your space or your time." I nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude for her support. For so long, I'd felt alone in my marriage, carrying the emotional and financial burdens while Mark basked in the glow of our shared achievements. But now, with Sarah by my side and Alex ensuring every legal angle was covered, I felt a renewed sense of empowerment. Over the next few days, I began to reclaim the apartment piece by piece. I moved Mark's belongings into the corner of the living room, each box a testament to the end of an era. I rearranged the furniture, moved my favorite artwork into the living room, and filled the space with things that made me happy. It wasn't just about redecorating. It was about transforming the apartment into a reflection of who I was, not the person Mark had tried to make me. Meanwhile, Alex kept me updated on the legal proceedings. The fraud charges are off the table since the buyer decided not to pursue them, he explained over the phone, his voice filled with the kind of confidence that made me feel invincible. But the divorce paperwork is moving along smoothly. Once Mark signs, you'll be officially free. Hearing the word free made my chest tighten. It wasn't just about the divorce. It was about everything I'd been carrying for years, the resentment, the self-doubt, the feeling of being trapped in a marriage that didn't value me. It was all finally being lifted. As I stood in the middle of my newly reclaimed living room, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The apartment, once a symbol of Mark's betrayal, had become a sanctuary, a place where I could rebuild, redefine, and rediscover who I was without him. This was my home, my life, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next. As the days passed, I felt the atmosphere in the apartment shift from tension to tranquility. The quiet was no longer oppressive, it was liberating. Each morning, I found myself breathing easier, the air lighter without Mark's looming presence. It was during this newfound peace that Sarah stepped in, her friendship a lifeline that anchored me in these turbulent times. One afternoon, as the sunlight poured through the windows, Sarah arrived with a bottle of wine and a determination to help me reclaim my space. "Today, we're making this place yours again," she declared, her enthusiasm infectious. We started by boxing up the remnants of Mark's life from our shared space. His clothes, his books, even the tacky sports memorabilia that had dominated the living room, they all found their way into boxes, symbols of a past I was ready to leave behind. With each item packed away, the apartment began to transform, shedding the weight of the past like an old skin. "How is he handling all of this?" Sarah asked, her hands busy folding a shirt that once belonged to Mark. I shrugged, a small smile playing on my lips. "Not well. He's still trying to talk his way back, but I'm done listening." "Good for you," Sarah replied, her voice firm with approval. "He doesn't get to waltz back into your life whenever he feels like it. You deserve better." Her words resonated deeply, affirming the decisions I'd made and the path I was on. For too long, I'd allowed Mark's presence to overshadow my own needs and desires. But now, with each box sealed and labeled, I was taking back control, one small victory at a time. Meanwhile, Alex kept the legal wheels turning, ensuring every detail was meticulously managed. "The fraud charges are off the table since the buyer decided not to pursue them," he informed me, his voice steady and reassuring. "But the divorce papers are almost ready. Once Mark signs, you'll be completely free." The word free hung in the air, a promise of new beginnings and untapped potential. It was more than just a legal status. It was a state of mind, a liberation from the chains that had bound me to a life I no longer wanted. As Sarah and I finished our task, I stood in the middle of the living room, the space finally reflecting who I was and who I aspired to be. This was my sanctuary now, a place where I could heal, grow, and thrive. With Sarah by my side and Alex handling the final details, I knew I was ready for whatever came next. The future was mine to shape, and I felt a thrill of anticipation for the journey ahead. With the apartment finally feeling like my own again, I started to focus on the future. Each day began with a sense of purpose as I navigated the remnants of my life with Mark and moved towards something new. The legal proceedings were progressing smoothly, thanks to Alex's diligence, and I felt the weight of uncertainty slowly lifting. But there was one final confrontation I hadn't anticipated. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, I was surprised to find Mark standing there, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. His usual air of confidence was replaced with something else, a desperation, perhaps? I braced myself, unsure of what he wanted. "Jane," he began, his voice softer than I'd expected. "Can we talk?" I hesitated, the memories of his betrayal fresh in my mind. But curiosity, or perhaps a sense of closure, urged me to let him in. As he stepped inside, I noticed how out of place he seemed in the newly transformed apartment. It was a space that no longer held room for him. "Nice changes," Mark observed, glancing around awkwardly. "It suits you." "Thanks," I replied curtly, gesturing for him to sit. "What do you want, Mark?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I wanted to apologize," he said, his gaze finally meeting mine. "I handled things terribly. I was selfish and reckless, and I know I hurt you." His words hung in the air, and for a moment, I felt the old pain resurface. But this time it was tempered by the strength I had found in myself. "Yes, you did," I agreed, my voice steady. "But it's done now, and I'm moving on." He nodded, a shadow of regret passing over his features. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope we can at least part on better terms." "Mark, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this," I replied, "and I realize that I need to focus on myself now. You've made your choices, and I've made mine." He looked down, the acceptance in my voice leaving no room for argument. "I understand," he said finally, standing up. "I just wanted to say my piece." As I walked him to the door, a sense of finality settled over me. This was the closure I hadn't realized I need, the chance to reclaim my narrative completely. Mark had been a significant part of my past, but that chapter was closed. After he left, I stood in the quiet of my apartment, the future stretching out before me, open and uncharted. I felt an overwhelming sense of freedom, ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that I had the strength to shape my own destiny. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself embracing a new chapter of my life with a sense of empowerment and clarity. The divorce proceedings were finalized, and with Alex's expert guidance, everything had been handled smoothly. I was officially free from the ties that had once bound me to Mark, and the feeling was both liberating and surreal. The apartment, now entirely my own, had transformed into a sanctuary that reflected my true self. I filled it with colors and textures that brought me joy, each corner a testament to my journey of rediscovery. The absence of Mark's presence was palpable, but rather than feeling a void, I felt a space brimming with possibilities. One evening, as I sat on the balcony with Sarah, watching the city lights twinkle against the backdrop of a starlit sky, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "To new beginnings?" Sarah toasted, her eyes shining with pride. "To new beginnings?" I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. The warmth of the moment enveloped me, a reminder of the support and love that had carried me through the storm. With each passing day, I found myself stepping further into a future I was excited to shape. I pursued new projects at work, explored hobbies I had long set aside, and embraced the freedom that came with making decisions solely for myself. The lessons I had learned from my marriage and its unraveling were invaluable, teaching me the importance of self-worth and resilience. As I gazed out at the city, I realized that this was just the beginning. The journey ahead was mine to chart, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly in control. I was ready to live life on my own terms, and that realization was the greatest victory of all. Reflecting on the story of Jane and her journey from betrayal to empowerment offers valuable lessons for navigating life's challenges. First, always ensure you understand and have control over your personal and financial assets. This foresight can protect you in unexpected situations. Second, don't underestimate the power of a strong support network. Surrounding yourself with trusted friends, like Sarah, and professionals, like Alex, can provide the strength and guidance needed during difficult times. Additionally, embrace change as an opportunity for growth. Jane transformed her living space to reflect her new identity, a symbolic act that reinforced her independence and self-worth. Finally, remember that self-care and focusing on personal growth are crucial. Pursue new hobbies, invest in your career, and make decisions that align with your values and desires. By prioritizing yourself and your well-being, you can navigate life's uncertainties with resilience and confidence.